What is up, posse?
How's it going, guys? This is Brandon.
Mark.
I am Chad, and we have a special guest to my left. Is Spider-Man.
He does whatever a spider
it's
can.
Amazing.
He is
amazing.
the amazing
Wait, it's spectacular.
Spider-Man.
It's spectacular.
It's
Yeah,
spectacular,
it's like Peter
amazing.
And here's why it's not only it's Spider-Man, but it's amazing Spider-Man, because we're doing this post Minneapolis riot, and we live in Minneapolis. I live right in the heart of what happened, literally right down in blocks.
Yeah.
And over the last week, we've also watched amazing people come out of nowhere and help.
Good
And
stuff. Great things.
this man to my left went up to Lake Street and dressed up as he is and went around and helped clean, did what he could,
cheering up
Yeah.
kids.
cheering up people. I mean, honestly, I can't tell you, when I saw that was the coolest thing. That made my day.
When I
And
saw
I don't have
that,
many well-made days these days.
I mean, obviously we're big nerds and geeks or whatever, but when I saw that, it really kind of was like, wow, what a huge, for someone to actually go out and take part of the cleanup.
So
dressed as
let's
Spider-Man.
start. Brandon, start how we found him. You found him.
Yeah. So I found him. Mark posted the pictures of you, and a bunch of people on Instagram were too, and I was just like, hey, we need to get this guy on, even though people were like, don't tag him or whatever. It's like, that's fine, don't tag him. Like, I just want to talk to the guy.
And
He's doing positive things.
We shared it on the posse, 2,600 plus strong.
Yeah.
That was my personal page.
That was your personal
Yeah.
one?
It got over 2,000 shares. The
Wow.
pictures of
See,
you.
this
You
is
got
the
2,000 shares.
And
The,
then,
the most popular picture.
and
That
then
is the most, yeah.
Brent Schoonover
Yeah.
drew that picture, and he's selling that to help small businesses. A print of it he's selling to help small businesses on Lake Street.
Yeah.
I mean, it was I had a lot of people on, the comments were like, this really made my day. I showed this to my 4-year-old kid, and it was like, look, he's real. I mean, it really, I think it definitely helped people kind of cope with some of the stuff that was going on.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Especially to nerds like us, that
So here's
to see
the the print
kids,
that you can buy. If you look up Brent Schoonover on Instagram, I think,
Shop.
and his link is in his
Yep.
bio, and this is awesome.
Have you
This
seen
is
that?
just-
Yeah.
You have seen that?
I had that sent to me, and of course, this has been a ride of tears for me along the way. Several points where I just thought, I was going to go out and do this and try to cheer up some kids. And this was one of many things that got pushed my way. Hey, Brandon, is this you? And I was like, somebody made this artwork. And just
Yeah.
in tears at work. And
Did
Oh,
you?
cool.
So you
Oh,
born and raised Minnesotan?
yeah, I grew up in northern Minnesota, actually. Went to school out in St. Cloud area, and then moved to the cities back in 2005, and I've been down in the cities ever since.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
okay.
Yeah.
And here's him with one of the kids.
Oh man. How long were you
That is
out?
awesome.
How long were you out there?
Oh gosh, that first day that we went out there, I went out by myself the first day, and that was, I believe it was the Friday. Things kind of meld together right now.
Yeah,
don't
isn't
they?
that strange?
Yeah.
It's
I
like
don't know what day
The
it is.
days.
the
It's like
days.
Schmur's Day.
Mixed.
Yeah, exactly. I was out there cleaning for probably about 6 hours.
in that
Oh,
outfit.
geez.
In this outfit, yeah.
Oof. In
And
the
it
heat.
was suited up. I mean, suit,
Yeah.
not suit, but
Yeah.
suit from all of the smoke. And
Yeah.
there were several buildings that had their roofs blown off, and picking up all these wet pieces of ceiling tile and trying to scoop them up in there. And I started over by the Domino's, that picture that you had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were a bunch of people over there that were cleaning up, and it was like they didn't even bat an eye that I was out there with
Yeah.
them.
Wow.
But yeah, it's went from the lowest of
Look at that.
lows,
That is just a
to-
great shot.
showing that a community, no matter what's going on, can come together and just rebuild from what happened. And
Trying to make it right.
yeah.
It-
It just it started as a peaceful protest, and it
Mark
evolved
and
into,
I live fairly close to each other and kind of went through this together. And we, weirdly, a couple days ago, we would see protesters coming in waves back and forth. And one day we were out there. I can't remember which day it was because everything goes into a blur. we look and we're like, oh, great, more protesters. Okay, well, we're gonna hear the helicopters now. We're gonna hear flash grenades. We're gonna hear all this, and they weren't. They were people with brooms, dustpans, trucks, or little red wagons full of every kind of cleaning thing you can think of. This is actually out in front of. This is up behind in my backyard.
Yeah, just what you were saying too about you
just everywhere.
Just all this whole week.
The helicopters were just like, I mean, everywhere, and the drones were around too. There was a lot of military drones. It was just so surreal, which made it so cool to see what you did going out there.
Now, did you go to Dreamhaven? Because I shared the picture of Dreamhaven because it says
Dreamhaven is a bookstore.
Yeah.
with great power comes great responsibility, and it says Spider-Man. So when I shared that, people assumed that you tagged the building. They're like, I heard he even tagged the building, and I was like, no, he didn't tag the building. I was like, he was cleaning stuff.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, I think a lot of, you look around, a lot of these business owners have tagged their own buildings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like the artwork
That's a
on
very
some
interesting
of
point.
The plyboard is like amazing.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting point that people have tagged their own statements. I mean, graffiti's been around since Da Vinci.
Yeah.
So, I mean, why not?
And some of it has been, if you've seen even up in, like, say, areas like Northeast and North, it's literally people saying, people inside, apartment upstairs, please, please don't burn down. The fear is really palatable.
Here.
Yeah, exactly. And that's initially what drove me out there. Is I thought, I got up in the morning, I looked out the window and I thought, I remember being a scared little kid and not having a lot of answers for going through a lot of things as a young kid up in northern Minnesota, and comics and superheroes were just something that would really really brighten my day and like take some of that fear away, even though I knew it was fiction, but there's something about that there's like a rallying point. It does. And I just thought, if I can go out and just do that for one or two kids, that would be just be amazing. It would make my day. People are real, like, and all those thousands of people that showed up to clean.
Yeah.
They're just looking for something to do to help each other.
Yeah. Did you literally just have an epiphany, like, I'm putting on this damn suit and I'm gonna go out there?
Yeah. I kind of joke around sometimes about like going out in the neighborhood and wearing it with some of my friends, and one I said, hey, should I go and help clean up in my Spider-Man suit? One of them said, yeah, go ahead and do it. And that's like, I mean,
done.
That's all I had. That's all the encouragement.
Done.
I was like, fine.
What a great idea.
It's the pandemic.
Yeah,
we've got
these kids. Look at this kid. Look at what you did for this kid, man.
Oh gosh, one of these kids started crying.
Can you blow that up at all, B? Can you blow that up?
Just the way it was made
with the little kid. That was like a powerful picture.
But you guys can check it out on Instagram. You guys look at the username. Go check it out. It's just
you're pretty viral right
this
now. They'll be able to find that.
The
the kids? I mean, the responses. Did they sit and ever talk to you? Did they say anything to you?
They did.
What did you get out of? What were they feeling?
So
what were they up to?
Nothing. I didn't see any kids around the Domino's, and then one of the people that were over there, they actually walked with me. We went a few blocks down. It looked like everybody was doing a good job down there, and so we decided to go where there was smoke.
Yeah.
And we walked up to the Hexagon Bar.
Okay.
And up at the Hexagon Bar, there is the building's obviously completely burnt out at this point.
Yeah.
There's a big fire truck there with a bunch of firefighters, and a group of kids standing out on the corner watching. And one of them runs up to me, and their parents are over there. One of them runs up to me and says, "Oh my gosh, are you the real Spider-Man?" And I mean, he had to be like 6 or 7 years old. And I looked at him, and his friends are standing behind him, and I'm like, "No, I'm Peter Parker." And he gets this disappointed look on his face, right?
Oh man!
And one of his friends goes, "No, that's actually Spider-Man." So then they ran back to tell their parents.
Oh man!
And I'm like, "Oh man, that's so great that they, that I'm out here doing this cleaning up. They start cleaning up the street with their parents too."
Love it.
And then one of the firefighters walks over to talk to me. And he says, "Hey, I want to take a picture with you and the crew." And
That's cool.
I was like, "Yeah, of course I'll do that." And he's like, "I want to show this. I want to show this to my son." and he's at home right now, and he's really scared, and I just want to tell him that everything's okay, because see, even Spider-Man is out helping out right now. And I mean, he said that to me. We took a picture. I'm crying inside my mask when that happened. Like, it's so touching, man.
Mark, bring that microphone a little bit closer towards him. No, you're all right, buddy.
Bring
it more, like a half a foot.
When I got home, I went and I just kind of went online and I started looking up the different stories that are out there, and I ran across a story about a woman named Georgina and her 9-year-old son. I think he's 9 or 8, and his name is Romeo, and she's a African American woman raising. She's 29 years old, raising a kid, and she's really afraid that, the truth of the situation is she's got to raise a kid in a world that
life is beautiful.
That's scared of him because of the color of his skin.
Yeah. When you have to teach your kids steps to stay alive, that's the saddest part. That you could ever imagine as a parent.
I start scrolling down, and there's this picture of Romeo on his bed, and he's got. Hold on, give me a second.
Oh dude, I'm wearing this brim so low because I'm impressed with myself that I haven't cried yet.
He has a nice graphic of Spider-Man on his back wall, and he's holding a Spider-Man toy on his bed, and he's he's got the web fingers out. Yeah. And I just lost it. I thought any one of those kids that were out there, like anybody who's our age who was out there, you see this, it means something to someone to just have someone else that you can like rally around, like an image.
And I mean, look at all of these kids, what you did for them, but those parents had to come up to you too and be like, hey man, thank you so much. Yeah. I mean, I bet you got a lot of that from what did the parents have to say about some of that?
Most of the parents they were telling me, one of them actually, his name, his name is Chico. He did this amazing write-up.
Okay.
About meeting me outside the Vine Art Center, which is.
I think I read that.
Yeah. Oh, this is what really had me going. In fact, I can pull it up here. It would be something that is actually pretty incredible to read. This is something that he had written up, and about meeting us, and it really, the way he wrote this, it just captured that day for everyone. So,
and we'll post it on the Toy Posse Instagram. But here, go ahead and send it to me. I'll bring it up.
Yeah, I can send it to you right now. That's that Charles Dieter post. So this is some third party guy, doesn't even know this Chico guy. It's made its rounds, and
is it the last one you sent?
It's actually, if you scroll up a little bit, it's a picture of just some dude looking at the camera for a picture. So it looks like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So he says,
Spider-Man, I just want to say this really quick. Spider-Man is actually put in to be able to use your phone, the threading.
Yeah, we have conductive threads in here.
Conductive threads in the back.
I learned. Yeah,
genius.
I think that's you've done such a great job on this costume, man.
It's that post.
Oh, okay.
So I got trapped in this once. After a night of Halloween last year, and I'm trying to get Uber up on my phone. I'm like, I can't get in. I can't get my zipper. I'm like, I had to get someone to call the Uber for me on my phone.
Gotta be functional, man. I get
that.
It
is functional. So
anyways, you got wrapped up in this. Do you want to read a snippet of that?
I'd love to, man. This is very powerful.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
So Chico Carlucci is not his name, but he also likes to be anonymous. So he wrote this. This morning I woke up with the intention of helping clean up in some small way the debris from last night. Uptown seems in good shape, so we drove over to the Ivy Building to help out. As we walk around to the front of the Ivy Building, random folks are out and about telling us thank you, even though we haven't done anything yet. In front of the building, there are two folks. One is dressed in a Spider-Man costume. Spider-Man's making a rough effort of trying to sweep pieces of burnt, wet ceiling tile into a pile so he can awkwardly sluice it into a flimsy plastic dustpan. This thing was not working out real well for me at that point. Chico came much better prepared than I did. He set down his paint buckets and cleaning supplies and manned the dustpan. We had to talk for a bit and exchange names from underneath our masks. His name is Spidey, but I insist on calling him Spider-Man. He laughs. We work for a bit. It looks like it's going to take a while. There's burnt debris everywhere, and an endless stream of water that spills out of the Ivy building, whose roof is now open sky. Soon enough, more people come down the street and help. People ask who's in charge. Nobody is. Everybody is. Mm-hmm. We ask questions like, do you need more gloves? Where does this go? Can I use the shovel? Soon enough, nobody asks. Everyone just does. I run across the street and ask if we can use the building's trash bin, and they're on board. They're with us. I let everyone know Spider-Man is wondering if he should head inside to help out in there, and I said, no, stay visible as hell. He laughs again, but he gets it. More people come. They stop being nameless strangers behind the homemade mask, and they become people. Kate, Jessica, Danielle, Chris, etc. They're all there to help. This doesn't feel like a battle for our city. This feels like an extension of the protest. Two halves are inextricable. Everyone works. There's a mixture of laugh, pain, sadness, understanding, and hope. That hope grows till the street starts to fill with cars driving by, stopping to look at our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man wrangling sludge into a paint bucket. He stands against a backdrop of more of a dozen people now. We're not strangers anymore. We're a damn platoon. People in cars honk. They wave to Spider-Man. Their kids wave to Spider-Man. He waves back. The one empty street has now become a solid line of bumper-to-bumper traffic. Strangers stop to get out of their car to drop off supplies at the sidewalk. Not a single car behind them honks in frustration. Everyone understands. Everyone's on board. And it goes on there. If you guys can take a look at that,
it's just,
we'll post definitely. It up. People can check it on the Instagram account.
And that's like the first thing I had seen of you was that whoever had wrote that. I was like, whoa! I was like, this guy dressed like Spider-Man out here, and I was like, you know what? I was like, I gotta like share this so people see, you know. And as soon as I did, it just like, I mean, obviously other people did too.
Yeah.
But I mean, to get 2,000 shares on one Facebook post, that's kind of a lot.
Right away,
you know?
Let me just say this. You know, I've lived in this town almost my entire life. I've lived in this neighborhood I lived in this house for 26 years. I've lived in this neighborhood in different houses since I was 5. And to watch what happened was amazing. I've never seen anything like this. I hope nobody, what you did for these kids, in a population of like 1 million people, you were the only one. There wasn't a bunch of Hulks. I wasn't out there. You were out there. You literally are the only one out of 700,000 people that did that, dude. And I really want to thank you for that. I really do.
Definitely.
And a lot of people. I mean, this is, if it's one thing that I can say that came out of this for these kids, is, I mean, what if you weren't there? Think of what they came back with. Mom, Dad, we went and cleaned up the neighborhood. Then I got to see Spider-Man. Yeah. I mean, these kids are like, pull up that picture of that dude. That one right there, yes. Pop that one up there. We're going to go out with that one.
We're going to go back out. All right.
This is going to be iconic. I guarantee you, man.
That is iconic.
Already. It's underground right now with us nerds.
For sure.
But
Minnesota right now, that is huge.
This state getting together, this city bonding and doing so, there's going to be t-shirts of that for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
If I don't make one
and
myself.
We'll post the link to Brent's shop in the about section.
Yeah, let's wrap this up because this is tight, man. I really want to thank you for coming.
Yeah.
And, you're a collector like we are. We've talked. You obviously are the Star Wars. We talked about the Darth Vader TIE Fighter thing, that vintage. That's yours, by the way. You're taking that home with you.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
All right?
All right, guys.
All right, everybody be safe out there.
Be
Show
safe.
each other love
Peace,
and be really
everybody.
safe to each other and be really kind to each other. Peace
Be
out.
well and be
Peace.
safe.